Okay, so I have two different intro slides, and you're going to figure out why in a minute. This one is, in case you didn't read what's up here, this is, if no one's looking at your student dashboards, change your message from evil to good. Well, you know, I'm looking through the Blackboard template, and they don't really have like an evil template for me to use, right? The closest I could get was this slightly confused faculty member, right? So I've got the evil intro, and then I've got the good one, okay? So remember, evil. Well, that's as evil as I could get, right? And then good. Who am I? I am Kara Bosch. I'm the Director of Financial Information Systems and Business Intelligence Solutions. How many of you know about carrots and sticks? Carrots and sticks. Okay, at your institution, raise your hand if mostly things are carrots. Nobody's at any carrots. There is nothing good where I work. Sticks, you get more in. Yeah, some people are like, yeah, a little stick. Okay, so we're going to talk about carrots and sticks. We're going to tell a story, but the first thing I want to know before I start putting my foot in my mouth, which happens all the time, how many people in here are faculty? How many of you teach? Okay, so I am one of you. So when I speak ill of faculty, I'm talking about us. It's us. I'm with you. But I'm not really speaking ill. I'm just telling you a story. And we're going to spend some time talking about a story. You know, oh, I should probably tell you a little bit where I'm from. All right, Central Piedmont Community College, Charlotte, North Carolina, 6 campuses, 50,000 students a year, 1,100 full-timers, over 2,200 part-timers, so we are bigger than a bread box. And that's how we work. We're a little bigger than some places, a little smaller than others. All right, so now we're up to my story. All right, so way back in 2008, think back, a lot of things started happening at our college. We had a whole lot of stuff going on. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the history, so we have time to talk about them now. But we were shifting to performance-based funding. We were in Achieving the Dream School. We had all these state initiatives like completion by design, and then all the usual things were happening because the economy was starting to recover and numbers were going down, so had all these internal recruitment efforts, and then everybody started talking about that whole concept of student life cycle, you know, from the point they register to a class to the point they get a job, and somehow we got to track all that. So all this stuff starts happening. So what we did was we implemented analytics to help answer those questions. But we implemented the student module and the finance module. Analytics for Learn was still pretty new then, if it was even ready. I'm not even sure it was ready back then. We've had analytics a long time, but it's been centered around our ERP system, the student information system stuff. So most of our users were ESS folks and administrators, right? And they were loving it, okay? Over 10 years, our administrators got to use dashboards like this: course utilization, tracking, how courses were filling, so that way they knew how many sections to offer. And all of these drill down into specific sections, and they can get which sections are filling, which ones weren't, so they could plan times of day and all that good stuff. They had retention metrics and completion metrics, how many people we were retaining and all of that. Successful and unsuccessful grades. Now these were the final grades, right? After they're already in our ERP system. So they had all of these tools, and they got a lot more detail. We even gave them a lot of detail about retention numbers that took them into first-time enrolled, whether they were a returning student, age bands, all kinds of slicers and dicers, how many degrees and certificates we were awarding, you know, completions. Completions are a big thing, right? Especially when you're talking about performance-based funding. How many completions means more dollars for you. How many folks in here are at a public institution that requires public funding? Yeah, so you're in my boat. We're all in that boat, right? Completions by departments, completions by program, all of these things were out there. And then we even threw in some stuff for the finance folks, tracking budgets, how much we were spending on faculty salaries, how much money we're spending on technology purchases over the years. So they had a lot of tools, and this is way back starting in 2008. So they were all happy, and we were were happy because they were happy. Or so we thought they were happy. Okay? This is that whole assumption thing, right? And everyone knows what happens when you assume. Right? Okay. So let's jump ahead to 2015. That seems like just yesterday to me. Yeah. 2015, the world is changing. Huge online presence. How many of you have seen since like 2008 to 2015? Huge jump in online classes. Students enrolling online. Students taking classes from other institutions and logging into yours. Raise your hand if you're a four-year institution. 2 years? You have no idea? You just show up to work every day? All right. Well, luckily, no one raised their hand for that. That's a good sign, y'all. All right. So all of these questions were out there, and now they needed answers from our learning management system. We're a school that actually has Blackboard and Moodle. We don't have Moodle X-ray, but the majority of our faculty were using Blackboard to deliver their courses, over 90% of them. And so it made sense for us to acquire the Analytics for Learn product to answer all these. And there's literally hundreds of questions they were giving us, but we couldn't answer them because we couldn't mine the LMS. So we started looking at Analytics for Learn. All right, we need to answer these questions. Pause it, right? We can do that. This tool will do it. The administrators and administration, they're already familiar with analytics. Whole concept. We have a college website where all they do, they log into their network and they hit the URL and it recognizes their security. So, man, we could put it right up there and they could have it. So it'd be real easy, right? Easy. Remember the word easy. And then it presented an opportunity for us also. The idea of implementing Analytics for Learn would help us shift our faculty to use the online gradebook. Or so we hoped, you know, because so many of them, even if they put stuff in Blackboard, were piecemealing it. Some of them weren't even using Blackboard. Every course had a shell in there, but they were still keeping a paper gradebook in their office. All right. So I get all the approvals with the administration. They're like, oh yeah, we can answer all these questions. This is going to be great. And I take off and start doing my show and tells. I go out to all the meetings, I arrange them, and I've got faculty members in there because this is Analytics for Learn. This is their stuff. They're going to love it, right? They're going to love it. Okay, faculty folks, you're with me here, right? You're going to love it when someone comes to you and says, we got this new technology. See, they're laughing because they know it's true. All right, so I go out there and I'm presenting it, and they're talking among themselves. They're not smiling, but they're talking among themselves. And I do my dog and pony show, and I say, any questions? And this is what I get. Did you get approval from the College Senate to buy this? And that was the tone of voice. And suddenly I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why the hostility? Okay, you're supposed to love this. And then as the questions went on, I started realizing that they had never been our customers. They had never been our users. And even though the administration had been using the tool, and even our deans have been using it, they had not really shared any of it with the faculty, except maybe some in meetings, maybe showed a report or something. So faculty really didn't know what this analytics thing was. It didn't really threaten them. They weren't really interested in it. So let me stop and share with you 5 things you should not say to faculty in a meeting when you want them to adopt your tool. All right, number 5. You should read more about today's learning technologies. That one was not a good one. They didn't like that. Okay? Where have you been for the last 10 years? Do you even look at those little charts on your online banking? Bad. Bad, don't say that to them. They don't like that. We can't make dashboards out of your paper grade books in your desk. Short of my team breaking in and ripping your grade books out, we cannot do this. So you're going to have to use the electronic grade book. Well, the administration bought it, so you're going to have to get used to it. It's very negative. We should not use those words. And then this one, which was a personal little Kara statement. I don't don't work for Bosch Community College, so I don't get to do what I want to. All right, these are the 5 things you don't say when you're trying to change your message from evil to good, right? All right, so you want their buy-in, and I am really shocked and dismayed. Remember my assumptions, right? Why all the hostility? Those were the questions. That was the question. Why all the hostility? Why are they hating us? Well, we had assumed that faculty even had a clue that we had analytics on campus, that it was its own thing. As far as they knew, their deans and everybody were bringing these things in from Excel spreadsheets they created and all of that. They really had no knowledge of what we were doing. We also assumed that faculty trusted the technology they were using, and they really didn't. We found that out also. They did not trust it. And we thought they'd be interested in learning something new and cool. Because when I go out and talk about analytics, I'm thinking, oh, it's cool. Most faculty members are like, yeah, okay, Kara. All right, how they actually saw it was that little monster guy. They're like, great, one more thing I have to do. And it was a fair assumption on their part. It was a fair judgment because their experience in the past with new technologies that rolled out really made them think that they had more work they're going to have to do. So we had to battle perception versus reality. And perceptions, the administration would set target goals, the whole concept of Big Brother, there'd be more work for faculty members, there would be goals set like almost like a degree mill or whatever, that if you didn't meet these goals, you're gonna have to have so many A's, so many B's, so many C's, you're gonna be accountable for that. And they really felt like it stepped on their area of expertise, that they were gonna lose control of their courses. They couldn't develop their own content, they wouldn't be able, we would be using this kind of as a Big Brother kind of deal. And I went around and started talking to the faculty individually, because in a gang, I don't stand a chance. When I sat down with them one-on-one, they had real good ideas and real good comments to make. So what we did was we went out and we told them, in reality, you probably always had goals. And we started showing them that analytics could reduce their workload and the kinds of things they were doing they could replace. So Kara goes out on her Goodwill Tour. Let's keep in mind those 5 things that I'm not supposed to say. I did not say them ever again. Okay, I learned we don't do that. And my team learned. I didn't say all 5, just in case any of my administration sees this video. I did not say all 5. There are other people. All right, so here's where our carrots come in. We start talking about the right way to say things, how to involve folks. We asked faculty, what kind of questions are you being asked to answer now? When a student does a grade appeal, do you have to get in and do a bunch of research about their last submission, their last access? Well, analytics can have that stuff ready for you right there. When they start getting asked about student engagement, can you go in and look this up? And go in and look this up. Well, if you get a faculty member teaching 8 courses, 8 sections, 25 to 100 students in each section, that's a lot of manual research and a lot of time. And faculty are already spending a lot of time grading, office hours, the classroom experience. So it was a lot of work, and we were trying to let them know that analytics could provide them that service. And then, and one thing I wanted to touch on is, how many of you have certifications that are for like national certifications like nursing, CPA, things like that? Sometimes those organizations make, you need numbers of who's done what and who's completed what assignments when and who's gotten as far as any modules. Well, they were all doing that manually. If you were a nursing instructor, you're having to go into every one of your sections, count all the people who did this, then you have to send it, and then your program chair is having to type it all up. And we tried to show them how analytics could automate that sort of thing. And then we started this process called STAR, Success Through Academic Reporting. So let me tell you about success through academic reporting. Faculty go in 2 times at the beginning of a course, 2 times. One at the 10% date and one kind of a quarter of the way in, right before midterms. And they dig through all their students in Blackboard, and they count how many of them have submitted stuff. And if you're in an in-person class, maybe you've got your paper grade book, and you count how many students have missing assignments, and then you log in this third-party system, and you have to check all the people on your list that have missing assignments, and it sends them an email through a third-party web thingy. And then you got to go in and find all the ones who are doing well, because you got to send out the positive reports and the negative reports. You check all them, and you're going back in the third-party thing, checking that, sending out the good reports. Then if you've got people who are missing, who are absenteeism, they're not showing up to class because they're trying to, intervene with our students, but we're using this huge manual process. And Analytics for Learn would allow us to build reports that can automatically be scheduled to notify our counseling and advising folks. And the faculty don't have to do a thing except use the gradebook. Not a thing. They could use the gradebook and they could eliminate all of that manual labor. So they were very excited about that. Then we also got them excited about the student-facing dashboard. The idea that a student could look at their own performance and be real excited about it, and maybe not call y'all. So personal example, it was Monday morning at about 8:45, I received an email that's forwarded to me by my program chair saying, and there was an attachment of my student's email. She had emailed the program chair saying, I have tried to get Mrs. Bosch for 2 days, and she has not responded to my request. I have sent several emails trying to find out how I did on blah, blah, blah assignment. Well, she had sent me several emails. About 11:45 the night before, on Sunday night, I had received an email from her. I received another one at 2 a.m. and one about 4:30 a.m. By 8, she had escalated. And all I'm thinking is if we were live with Analytics for Learn, she could have checked that out and I would not have had all those comments. So, of course, I forwarded all the emails to my program chair. Happy ending. We determined the student was just panicking for no reason, but she was panicking. But had she had some of these tools available to her, that might have stopped some of that panic. So I like to share that story as a real faculty member who's like, oh my gosh, if we had this would be great. And then, even more important, faculty are working on a lot of committees for these projects for SACS accreditation. Different schools pick different QEP projects. All right, somebody tell me, what's the QEP at your school? What are y'all doing for SACS? Everybody's got some sort of thing. Like for us, we did success through academic reporting. Now we have general education assessment. We're doing what's called critical core assessments, assessing our gen ed classes, our foundation classes, and seeing how they meet our core 4 objectives: communication, quantitative literacy, the whole deal. So that's a project, and we have so many faculty members on these committees working on it. And of course, bing, light bulb, I've got a total idea. Let's show them how analytics can help with that. So we started letting them work with us to design the actual dashboards and reports that they can use for the project they're working on, a college-wide initiative. These are initiatives that are directly affecting our faculty members. So they like that. They like being involved, and it helps alleviate the fear, and they understand the tool, and they become our cheerleaders, all the faculty members working on these. Here's another one they help design, which I love. So we have 4 core competencies, and then they can score a 0 to a 4 as to their level of competency, above expectations, or what do we have, exemplary. So we can see them here. And then they also said we're also going to need program of study eventually. It's going to be expanded throughout the college to track how we're assessing the core competencies in every course online. So we also have little filters we created for programs of study because we're planning for the future when we roll it out to the whole college, but right now most of the general ed foundation courses are what we're tracking. So this is just an example. If you ever want any more details of what we're doing with it, we did a little presentation of it before, and I've got documents I can send you to look at the dashboards and stuff we designed. And then this was probably the most important thing we had to deal with. We had to deal with anxiety that once we start measuring what's in the courses, the faculty were going to lose control of how they deliver their content, and that they were going to be assessed, sometimes negatively they feared, because of how their manager is, or their program chair, or their dean. So we had to have these conversations with administrators on how you design dashboards and reports, so it's not looking for the people who didn't do something. It's looking for the top 10 folks who did do something. Accentuate the positives, give the carrots out, give people lots of praise for the things they're doing well. All right, so positive reinforcement. Okay, what we learned. Carrots are important, right? Carrots are very important. Learning about the positives, getting everybody motivated. Communicate, communicate, communicate. As you start rolling out analytic stuff, it is very, very important that you communicate to the whole college body. We really made a bad assumption for many years that we were getting through to everybody at the school. That everybody, we had the buy-in of everyone. We were in, we were blissfully ignorant of the fact that our faculty have been left out of the loop on so many of the resources. Now let me tell you the side effects of this, of my Goodwill campaign. We are not fully implemented on Analytics for Learn yet. I haven't even totally validated all the data, but I have more work than I can complete in 3 years. Faculty are coming out of the woodwork with questions they want to answer about their courses, for their programs that they're in, for course design, or students spending so much time in this section of learning versus the other. We have way more work than I will complete anytime soon. So, we could be the victim of our own success, but I'm happy to be the victim of this kind of success because everyone's very motivated to roll it out, especially as they see that there's positive recognition and this is not a stick kind of thing. This is not done to be penalizing in the end. It's all about getting the students the tools they need. And they're liking that they can have that conversation with students individually.